So, it's the next day. After getting the motor put in the truck, I actually stayed here and took the liberty of cleaning up the shop this morning. You guys saw the Miata in the background the other day, which we did some suspension work on. Nothing really all that interesting, got that out. But now that it's light out, we're putting provisions for a harness together. So this is kind of what I was talking about the other day, right? The main harness comes through the firewall. It's kind of getting his, you know, mega squirt situation figured out where it's going to mount under there. And then what this is basically just telling us, like, okay, how long does each one of these wires need to be? We can use this as kind of a jig for our wiring harness instead of having to cut a bunch of wires apart and, like, you know, potentially cut wrong sizes and stuff. It just takes a lot of guesswork out of it. So, but I think right now main situation is this dash, getting this kind of all put back together. It's all clean and everything now, so everything is ready to go back in. Once we get the ECU mounted, there's really not too much other work that we have to do under here. So, it's pretty cool.
You come back in a half an hour while I have my stuff done.
Cool. What's the plan? I know Jake's putting together another G54B right now. I think this is just going to end up going in this car to get it running. Pretty excited about this though. Mm-hmm. Doing a balance shaft delete.
Yep. Right now I'm just checking the, honestly I don't even know what I'm doing over here right now, but.
It's Ram 50 day.
Yep.
It is old Mitsubishi, not Mitsubishi day. Yeah, that would be kind of gross.
Oh, it would.
Is this your oil pump now?
Yeah, this is the turbo pump.
Just get a quick clean.
Yeah. Who knows how long that thing sat, so.
It's wild. I was kind of surprised when we popped this timing cover off how, you know, nice it looks. Truly is a, well, I guess it's not like.
That not going to be going in the, that car.
Not going to be.
Not going to be. However, I kind of want to, but at the same time, like, yeah, that one's already all tore apart. Everything's...
Yeah, this rotating assembly is already ready to go.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And if it cracks, because the block's already cracked.
Oof. Oof.
So, just gonna let her buck there, bud.
Yeah, and this isn't one we're trying to make power on really either, so it's, you know.
No.
That's what your truck's for.
Yep, exactly.
Sure. What? Oh yeah.
Yes sir, back here at the shop another day. I actually have something planned for once we didn't just come up here with no plan. So I want to change this up a little bit. Now that we're, you know, coming close to winter, I was kind of hoping to like have this kind of shoddily thrown together for the dyno, but obviously that's not happening. So I want to pull this out. I want to measure to put a fuel cell in here because I really don't like that, like the bulk of this tank. You can even see up here is like all the way in this back corner. And like, not that it was like a serious issue before really, but I definitely felt it like when the tank was full. And maybe I'm just nitpicking, but at this point I kind of just want something to do. So we're going to pull this out. I'm going to measure what kind of area I have back here, get rid of like this spare tire well, because like this is like where the majority of like the carnage on the car is. And well, this is a perfect time to kind of clean things up and get a better fuel system put in here. Something maybe A, a little safer, and B, a little more conducive to what I'm doing. And, you know, change up some of these fuel lines because they're just kind of gross and like rusty. And I don't know, I really just don't want to deal with it anymore. And I have the time, so I'm going to do it. See my super sketchy gasket situation here. That actually worked pretty dang well. But William just arrived, so I think I'm going to get to work pulling these straps out, get my trans jack under here, pull this out, and then we'll get some basic measurements and go from there. I'm also going to measure my drive shaft today so I can get me a one piece because this is unacceptable. Start checking stuff off our list. Oh yeah, and Mike's got a bunch of work to do too. We're laying down a harness like you guys saw in the last video, and I mean, how did that even go? I didn't even see how you guys finished that.
So Will took it. I think he's gonna start actually making the harness. Our micro squirt is gonna be sitting pretty much on the trans tunnel inside the truck. Run in through the factory hole where the harness comes in over there on the passenger side. Then run along the firewall, run through here between the valve cover and the valve and the throttle body, and then distribute itself accordingly.
So I know Jake plans to change a lot of this stuff up and go with like a port injection style. Are you gonna do any of that stuff on this, or?
Probably not. It's a real pain in the ass. You kind of have to make an adapter to have multi-port injection on these. You can't just meander down your parts store and get a
FFIM.
There are no companies that currently make that I'm aware of. So you...
Unless we want to get Willie over here to throw something on a CNC machine for us, we're kind of stuck with what we got. But we're gonna check some things off the list for this, and I'm gonna shut the hell up and get to work. All right? All right.
Screwy with, because apparently there was 2 different options for fuel pumps you could get in these Mark IIIs. So if you do need like a pickup screen, they're gonna ask you, or they asked me which pump I had, and I said I have no fucking clue. You got 180,000 miles on it, and they're like, well, I need to know because that tells you which pickup sock you have.
Yeah.
But
Actually, I'm not sure what the difference is between them either, but it's pretty easy fucking tank to pull out. I mean, you got 3 lines and a couple bolts.
And then there's an ASIN pump. And apparently the pickup screens are different.
No, I just want to keep it because if I ever buy another one of these cars, which is pretty possible, then I've got a tank. The tank is out. Kind of a lot more room than I thought I was going to have. I mean, like, pretty much everything in front of here between these rails is going to get cut out. Completely open this all up. That'll give me a chance. Hopefully the bottom of the cell will sit like here, and that would be ideal. 10-gallon cell should fit like perfectly between these 2 points right here. I mean, I would probably even end like here and here. They're not very big, but that'll help bring all the weight that used to sit right here and like move it right behind my differential there. So kind of tuck all the weight forward, help kind of even the car out a little bit. I still need to pull this out. I think the next move is to pull this drive shaft out. What they want is a measurement from the output shaft here to the face on the differential. Get it as straight as you can. Take that measurement, send it to your drive shaft builder, get a drive shaft. That's the plan here. So biggest thing is to make sure that this point is where you need it to be. It's not offset. You don't have any crazy angles that will cause your U-joints to sit kind of wonky. You've got like a little bit of a window to move around in, but it's not very big.
No, and you do also want to make sure that when you're installing a drive shaft that your U-joint angles are equal and opposite. And I think you're looking for about 3 to 5 degrees of drive shaft angle.
Yes, very important, especially in conditions like this where you know you're going to find yourself clutch kicking or drifting. Is a really good way to blow your drive shaft up if you don't get that angle right. So.
Also, with your drive shaft angle, that pretty much, if you don't have a good drive shaft angle, then as your needle bearings and your and the U-joint actually spin, they just spin in one place and don't circulate grease. You burn out U-joints really fast. You want to make sure that you have good drive shaft angles, and so that as you beat on your car, you're not eating your U-joints alive.
Yeah, they get expensive quick, and they're annoying to change. I mean, it's not that they're a super hard thing, but it does get dangerous if you start having a U-joint on each one side like blow up, and you get this drive shaft spinning around. It causes havoc, and we don't need any of that. So let me kind of jump into what I was even talking about doing in the first place. So you can kind of see where like this adhesive line is, kind of where this indentation is along the floor here. This is your frame rail. Kind of runs basically like along the inside of this. I mean, it deviates a bit. I want to say, I think this right here is more the line that it runs. And kind of same thing here on this side. So I'm going to cut all this out. Yoink. Get rid of it. And then I'm stuck with, I have basically 2 options for how I'm going to mount this fuel cell. Now, you can kind of imagine this cut out. So I want to either put 4 square stock from here to here, from here to here, and then across. And then I can drop my cell kind of in the middle of them with 4 basic like little mounts or standoffs right on the side, bolt right to that, little rubber bushings between them maybe. Or I can take angle iron, basically the same thing, half your square stock, and make like a seat for the tank. Have the tank actually sit in those bits of angle iron in like a square, and then make like almost a cage for it. I'm thinking I'm just gonna go with my original square stock idea, because it's simpler, right? It'd be easy to take tank in and out. But for now, more measuring and more Mike draining fuel out of a tank and shoving it into his car. I just paid for your gas. It means you gotta drive me around.
You saw me the day in the stealth, so.
Well, then we're even.
No, we're not.
Oh my. But yes, mainly what I wanted to get done today is done, so I have the free time to take these measurements. Now I'm gonna put this thing back up in the air and measure for this drive shaft, because I really like to get that on order. That's like the one thing from like my drive train that's holding me back right now, is just getting that drive shaft put in. The rest of it's just kind of suspension, tightening everything down. And then that switch panel is actually Nick's. So that's another thing we got to figure out, but that's for a later video. But before I start cutting anything, I want to wait for Jake to get up here and have him take a look at this and have Willie go over it one more time. I don't want to start cutting anything in case this whole thing decides to get all wonky. You start cutting stuff, you start relieving pressure and blah, 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 and it could end up being wonky, and I've learned my lesson there. So before I bust out the cutoff wheel, we gotta wait for the guy that just showed up.
We're gonna leave this when we cut, leave that when we cut. We're just gonna pretty much cut right through here. Yeah?
You said you weren't worried about the body flexing?
Nope, I'm not.
I figured as long as we left this bumper in, we'd be good back here.
We leave these, we don't touch these.
Yeah.
We leave the subframe in when we do it. All that's gonna keep the structural rigidity when we go ahead and yeet this rot bucket. This rot bucket.
Rot pocket?
Rot bucket.
Yeah, I'll be happy to see all this go.
See this? You'd expect, since we live in a state that's very environmentally conscious, they'd ban the shit that, you know, caused this, called road salt. Minnesota is the reason why we can't have nice things, because they literally make the Dead Sea the second saltiest place on the earth. Third, because it goes Minnesota roads, me, Dead Sea.
All right, I may have honestly forgot to film, but we got quite a bit figured out. So got the drive shaft measured, got an idea of our fuel cell size. I've got all the notes that I need, so we're honestly gonna put things away. It's about to be winter here pretty soon, so we're kind of honestly already out of time to really do any major work, minus, you know, some cutting and messing around with this because it's on the ground. But you know, got the stealth in the air, got the Supra in here. Of course the battery dies on me, but yeah, like I said, pretty much got everything packed up. So I think it might be the kind of the end of filming season for us. I know we didn't get a whole lot out there, but like I was saying, we have all of our notes. We know what we need to do, we know what we need to buy, so we can kind of wrap it up here. This will be the end for this video. Thanks everybody for tuning in, subscribing, liking, all that jazz. We'll see you next video.